That is very weird. I am just getting my thing set up, and then we are going to start this live with a conversation. I think it fits really well in with the topic. So I don't know if anyone else is here that knows about Dr. Dutch and his Humanities 101 class that is free on the internet for you to take. You can still go ahead and sign up. The first side quest or assignment that he has is to make a video discussing, hey, Anna, we can hear your TV, to
Oh,
make a
sorry.
video
Okay.
about what it is to be human. And so we were having a conversation yesterday on a Discord call. And so since lots of people like to have conversations that could have been Discord calls on the internet, we're going to have a conversation about what it is to be human. And then after that, I think it fits right in nicely with ethical non-monogamy, because one of the things that I think is part of being human is how we form relationships with one another. Welcome everyone to the Sass Show. Karen, you're probably going to have to mute. There's tons of
I
sounds.
so I'll kind of. Does it say live paused on your side, Sass?
No.
Yes.
My screen says live paused. There you go.
I hate when it does that.
So I'll start because I was thinking about this all day today.
That's exciting.
And I think I have finally settled on ego.
Ego is what it is to be human.
Yeah,
I can
ego.
see you, Lita. Yes.
I can't think of a single animal that has ego other than humans.
Have you met cats?
Yeah, I was going to say cats have a big ego.
I don't know that that's ego though. I think it might present as ego to us, but you have to keep in mind how they
It's entitlement.
evolved into. Yeah. But no, I really do think it's for me. I think it's ego, because even. No, I really do think it's for me. I think it's ego, because even and this might upset some people, but even when we do like charitable things, there's a bit of ego. This might upset some people, but even when we do like charitable things, there's a bit of ego that goes into it.
Oh, absolutely.
You make a donation,
Yes.
you do a compassionate thing, and you still have ego, whereas a lion doesn't ever have a moment of like ego. They take down the gazelle. They just share it with the pride. You know, it's just part of being a lion.
I think that I can maybe agree with that. I don't know. So I think some animals still probably have ego. Like, I was trying to think of something. Another animal. Cats definitely have ego. Also, there are. Wow, my brain doesn't work. My thoughts on what it is to be human. Like, first of all, I've always maintained that we are animals at our core. We pursue many of the things that we pursue are about survival, food, sex, water, shelter. Like a lot of what we do is an ends to a means. But the thing that I think that actually sets us apart from other animals and what it is to be human is the way that we track history. Because like we were talking about elephants don't like elephants teach one another, they pass it down through generation after generation about where to find the best food, and that changes, it shifts over time because of the environmental changes where the food is available, flooding and draining, and then the heating of the earth. So they're going to change that as they need to, but nowhere can we go to, like the Asian elephants can't go to Africa and they're going to like be able to read where they were hunting 600 years ago, whereas human beings have been tracking their history since like the first cave drawings. We can go to any other nation in the world and learn about their history.
See, and I think that comes down to our ability to reason and our ability to make rational choices about the things that we do. animals, I know that humans are driven on instinct as well, but they don't have the same ability to rationalize and reason and make conscious choices in the same way that we do. I mean, bears are driven by, I watch my cats play. The other day, I have a brand new kitten and I have the big boy, and the big boy's just sitting there teaching the little one, you know. Is that a rational choice or is that part of their instinct? And it gets intertwined with that with us, the idea of instinct versus rationality.
Yeah.
But I do think that we have the ability to rationalize things and to make conscious choices, and I think that's what makes us human.
I
Well, like,
agree. Animals are a lot of instinct. Most everything they do, they don't sit and ponder the options. They just do.
well, but like they show in studies in mice that mice use reasoning to get food. They'll also give up their food to help a another mouse that's in trouble.
Hmm.
Do we actually have to? Is that the same thing that happens with us though too in community? That we're willing to sacrifice for one another sometimes versus when we're not in community with others?
I think as far as that goes, it goes back to ego. Most, in at least in my experience, most of the time when someone is willing to make a sacrifice for somebody else, it is so that they get kind of a one up and like an ego boost for themselves.
I'm not gonna lie. I know I do. Like when I make do something that helps people, or like when I did the food bank thing, I felt good about myself, and I'm like, hey, look at me, look what I did. That's ego.
Yeah, I mean, like, do I want to help somebody out of the goodness of my heart? Absolutely, but also there are times when I'm helping somebody and I'm like, this is going to make me feel good.
I mean, I often so like I do agree with the idea that like we help people a lot of times because thank you, Renee, that it makes us feel good. I mean that's not the only reason, but we do get a dopamine and serotonin boost out of that sort of thing. But do you think that that's our nature, or do you think like in mice that are going to help the friend, the reason that our brains do that is more like primitive because like if we help
I,
out another person, then we're helping out their survival, which ensures the survival of the human race.
that's the thing. I think that are you talking about the ego thing?
Yeah.
I think that is the thing that made it. That's the one thing that evolved in us, and not necessarily. I guess it is kind of a good evolution because we went from like hunters gatherers to agricultural to this to factory type situation. So you have to, and because of that, the mindset changed, right? Because your brain is going to evolve during that, and you have to kind of become more about yourself than about the community, like you would have to do in a hunter gatherer situation. And so you had the evolution could have been that we evolved this sense of ego so that we would still help the other one out, because I would imagine that when we were in caves and stuff like that we didn't have that ego because it was whatever's good for our group.
Gotcha.
You don't want this person that's the best gatherer to be hurt by a predator outside, and so you're going to protect that person for the good of not only them but your tribe. I don't know what we would be called.
There's a lot of that's it. There's a lot of people though that we all know who will not help outside of their core group. Like they are only concerned about their people in direct contact. That's why in like no, I think Mrs. Diesel was frying food. Like in our own political systems, why people claim that we need to close the borders and America first, like they're only interested in protecting their own versus that external factor that other people have where they're willing to help out people who they may have never even met before or have very little in common with.
Maybe it is the sense of community that makes, I mean, humans work together, but animals do that too. Like animals work in communities too. Um, we're just animals.
I One of the things that I think makes us humanity is we do things that make our lives better, but don't necessarily have purpose, like the arts.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not going to say music because there's songbirds, there's animals do make music. If you listen to whales and you listen to, like, I consider that music. So I'm not going to say music, but like art. What purpose does art serve except to bring joy to someone?
right.
It's
And
And,
then
it was kind of like we were talking on Discord the other day about like communication, where, and Sass had brought up the fact that, being able to recorded history and all of that, and that's existed since we were, hunter gatherers as well. There was ways to communicate. There was language. There was graffiti on the walls in ancient Rome. And, the printing press, when it became widespread, that gave us the ability to have information. And I think that that might be a thing that makes us human, where we take in information differently and compute it differently than animals do. And not that we're better. I mean, it's not that it's a better or worse thing. It's just differently.
It also might be a bit of competition that makes humans different. They don't. I can't think of a single animal that legitimately like competes just to do it. Like you might have an animal that like competes because they know that you're going to give them attention, like a pet type situation. But in the wild, you wouldn't see them competing against each other. And I would say that, and a little bit of searching for higher meaning. The people that believe in different religions, they search for a higher being. People that believe in evolution and the Big Bang Theory search for proof of that Big Bang Theory to make this have happened, and that be the reason. But animals don't really search for why they're here and a reason.
Mm-hmm. That is a really good point. Animals are not that we know of. Like I don't think my parrot wonders why his existence, right? Like I think he just exists and he's not searching for like God or um I don't know, any other reason.
and they're not looking for anything beyond where they are. I
Yeah,
mean, do
well,
your birds wonder, hey, I wonder what's like beyond the walls of this house, beyond the yard, beyond, like, every once in a while a pet
no,
will go wandering off, but it's
usually in
not
search of
because they have
something.
this need to know
Curiosity,
what everything is.
the
Well, yeah,
curiosity.
I don't think animals can see outside whatever the realm of their exact existence is. And yeah, like, um, so like a dog might run away from home. They're usually doing that instinctually for a couple of reasons, like looking for a mate or whatever the case may be. Whereas um, human beings went in search of the world for curiosity reasons. I don't know. They also went in search of resources and stuff they could steal from other people.
Yeah. And in terms of animals competing, Diesel, I don't know if it would be considered competing, but you do have like males that will fight each other to be the leader of the pack.
It,
I've watched two wild stallions like try to beat the crap out of it. It was insane to watch. When I was down in Virginia, on the Outer Banks, it like watching them fight for who was going to get the group of mares that were involved. It was, I think they described it as there was a one solitary. They all have names because they know who they give them names so they can identify them. But there was one solitary stallion, and he was looking for. They call them families of the horses, for a family, and he was fighting the stallion that was the head of the family to try to
I
get the
guess
family. Would that be considered
there,
competition, or would that be
I
considered, survival?
I
So
guess
you need,
our competing kind of would have been an evolutionary thing that came from like mating and stuff like that. So I guess that would be evolved from that. But now we do it for entertainment. So would it be that humanity is constantly seeking forms of entertainment?
hey friends, if you could share this live, that would be great. Yes. I don't know. I mean, when the horses are competing like that, they're competing for resources. They're competing for mates. They're competing, like the horse that wins is going to be in charge of protecting the um the other horses. Versus like if I'm playing video games, if my girlfriend is doing a speed run on video games to beat someone else's time, it might come from that sort of like evolutionary need to compete for food and mate, whatever. But you're not actually doing that at this point, which is different than animals. I mean, sometimes men
So
compete for mates.
feel
right,
pleasure
but
when you win. Is
so
it
it
pleasure? We seek out pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. We're looking for dopamine and serotonin. Yeah.
but I mean if you're going to go that route,
Good.
then what I mean dolphins are non-monogamous.
Dolphins are non-monogamous. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
And they are one of the only mammals that do the deed for pleasure outside of
well,
humans.
and killer whales kill for fun. So, like, they're the only animal outside of humans that kill for fun. We do justify it. But I don't know about you guys when we talk about what it is to be human. Like, I think ultimately what it is to be human comes down to things like art and the ability to record history and go back and learn all about where we came from in ways that an animal couldn't do. Um, I find it really interesting that a lot of people seem to think that humans as a species, were built to be monogamous. But that's not actually the best way to ensure the survival of the species, and that's most likely not true. And
Well, I mean just because you're not I mean I would think that being non-monogamous depending on a person's take on offspring, it would be better to be non-monogamous to further humanity and procreation.
But having children is ego as well. Not gonna lie.
there's a lot about children that is ego, but I think our brains are developed for that purpose to give us a reason to procreate, because again it ensures the existence of the human species. But more like when we talk about not necessarily ethical non-monogamy, but we're talking about like, are human beings supposed to be monogamous or not? Through evolution, the fact that men can impregnate so many people with the uterus, right? Like so many people, um, would help ensure genetic diversity as well as the continuation of the species.
Also, the fact that AFAB people do not have to finish in order to become pregnant is also a trait of, I don't know where I was going with this. I did at the beginning. Now I don't.
Of not evolving into monogamy.
Yeah.
These people are
It
so
makes
dumb
it
with this
so that
pronoun situation.
my point was, it makes it so that it's an important part of the evolution in order to keep the species going. Because, I mean, the ones with the Audis couldn't find it with a map.
I mean, that's true. That's very true. I'm gonna have you guys give like a quick final thought, and then we'll put this on my YouTube channel as our assignment for Humanities 101, and then I'm gonna bring up Lita and Robin down in the request, and we're gonna talk about ethical non-monogamy. So if you guys have like a final thought on what it is to be human, I say the reason what it means to be human is our ability to obviously, I said about recorded history to learn all about all these different cultures and be able to go back in time and seek that information out. And I agree with Karen, things like art and finding pleasure in things that aren't required for survival is part of what it means to be human.
I do agree with the art, but I also still think it's ego that sets us apart from the rest of the animals.
Well, because there's ego in art as well, because you have the person who created it having the people come to admire it, and that makes their ego swell.
There's ego that made it so that our technology was evolved to the way that it did and as quickly as it did, as opposed to our other animal counterparts.
I also think it's our ability to love, it's our ability to hate, it's our ability to feel joy, to share that joy with others, to share the pain with others. I think that's also what it makes us to be human.
Empathy, compassion.
I love this conversation so much. I also think that human beings, because you said about love and hate, human beings have this ability to irrationally hate people for something that they just don't understand, and nothing about that would help ensure the survival of the human species, like racism, homophobia, transphobia. All that stuff doesn't help human beings exist on the planet. People just hate it for no other reason than they don't understand it. I'm not so sure that animals like function on that level.
I don't think they do either. I don't think that there's that ability to physically hate someone just because of their gender, their sex, the color of their skin, where they were born, everything.
Right.
And I think that we have that ability as humans to do that. And that's where the reason comes in for me, and being able to overcome through reason and rational thought and knowing what's right from wrong, and that ability to, just be a kind human and to love other people. And we're going to hate. Well, there's things we're going to hate, whether it be true hate or Michael Scott hate. It's just going to happen.
But it's a conscience. You have a conscience. There's guilt.
I think animals experience some of those emotions, but I think it's.
Do you think that animals experience hate? I mean, that
not
isn't
irrational
hate. That isn't influenced by humans. Let me add that in there.
No,
I don't think that.
I think.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I don't either. And thank you guys for the gifts. I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate that as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
agree. I don't think that I think animals feel a range of emotions. I believe that with my whole self. And I ultimately believe that human beings are animals. Everything that we're talking about here boils down to seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, which is some like catchy thing I heard someone say once. And so like those two things are ultimately what drives animals and humans together. But the things that set us apart are definitely have to do with reason and the things we're talking about.
And you know, we love in many different ways. We have different types of love. You know, we have
Hmm.
friendship love, partner love. We have love for our children, love, I mean, and love for people's intellect, love for people's differences. And, and we also have hate for all of those things. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
true.
match for everything. It's like we're a mirror to each other.
Yeah, I agree. All right, y'all. I'm gonna drop you down if you guys want to come back in and talk about ethical non-monogamy re-request. But I'm gonna bring up Lita and Foxy now. Thank you so much for our little